Tonight, we'll go back in time to seasons past when 22 men graced the rugged fields of yesterday, fighting for one more first down, one more yard gain, one final score that would bring victory after 60 minutes of battle on the gridiron. Tonight, we'll explore the world of Gridiron Greats, and welcome to Gridiron Greats Football History and its Memorabilia on the Sports History Network. In conjunction with Swick Enterprises, we're live from the Southport, North Carolina home of Gridiron Greats magazine. I'm Bob Swick, publisher and editor of Gridiron Greats magazine, and I'll be your host for the show. Gridiron Greats is the only publication in America that focuses upon the history and memorabilia of the North American football game since its inception in 1869. We cover 150 plus years of football history and memorabilia. You can find us on the web at gridirongreatsmagazine.com. It is at this time I'd like to introduce my co-host. He's a senior contributing writer to Gridiron Greats magazine, a football memorabilia historian specializing in pre-World War II items, in particular Red Grange, and also Seattle Seahawk items, in particular Steve Largent. He hails from Portland, Oregon, the one, the only, Mr. Joe Squires. Joe, welcome to the show this evening.
Captain, great to be here. I meant to text you last night. I watched power watched about 3 hours worth of what's that HBO show? Where they focus on one team.
Oh yeah, yep.
What's it called?
No, who was the team though?
The Seattle Seahawks, Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. Gosh, I forget what it's called. Anyways,
yeah.
So they had their preseason camp and one preseason game. Pretty interesting. You can tell it seems very simple. Like coaches just sitting around, in shorts and a shirt talking about who to cut. I'm sure there's a lot more to it where that. They don't discuss that.
Yeah. Obviously, it's, with the NFL being a multi-quadrillion dollar business, you have a coach for every player plus more.
Oh my gosh.
There's a lot of give and take as far as who's doing who and, who they want to keep, they don't want to keep, so on and so forth. And it's a very imperfect science, as we all know, because there's a lot of mediocre guys playing in the NFL. I mean, it's rough to pick talent.
They were kicking around, picking this guy up from the Saints. I forget his name, a cornerback who got cut. And Mike McDonald on his walking treadmill with his computer open. He's like, Eddie, get in here. Look at this. And he's reviewing film from 2 years ago when the draft came out. And, they show Eddie's name and title. It's like, Eddie Johnson, vice president of, HR and player relations or something like that. There's a job for that.
Yeah. It's very interesting to see what they end up doing as far as the what's a good word to actually see who they actually pick, why they pick them, the theories behind it, so on and so forth. And again, you could have the best minds in football unless the guys actually produce on the field. You know what? You're not
totally.
Totally.
I'm sure Forrest Gregg had a couple audibles that really made Lombardi look good. Called a couple things on the line that even Bart Starr was like, because Lombardi said Forrest Gregg was one of the smartest players he ever coached, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. And seeing those guys play, they practiced, they perfected the sweep. They perfected probably 5 different plays, and they won from it.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't really have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. I can remember back in the early 70s, our high school football team, you practice, the same plays over and over and over again. And that's it. Simple.
Yep.
Either you had the talent to produce or you didn't have the talent to produce, whether it's high school, whether it's college, whether it's regular NFL or whatever the league may be. That's part of the whole issue of it. But we had a lot of action in a major auction this week.
Did we ever?
So I'm going to hand off to you and fill us in a little on some amazing wax boxes and a few uncut feats I saw there.
Oh my goodness. And I got, we have some great guests lined up, so I'm just going to, hit the top. But, last show, there's not many auctions where I'm like, oh my goodness, I mean, and it was somebody who had an amazing unopened collection. And I'll start it off just kind of in chronological order. This went 1961 tops
Unopened
unopened
box.
BBC unopened box. And you can see down at the bottom there, went for $221,400.
Unbelievable.
37 unique bids. Incredible. 24 packs. So that's nearly 10,000 a pack. 61 tops is incredibly rare. I think I said on the last show, this is the only unopened box of 61 tops I've ever seen. And it's a
Right.
really
Right.
good looking, cool set. I mean, but this, look at this. That's, 65 years old. That's ready for Social Security.
Yep. Yep. And again, the 61 is a rare pack. It's literally
Totally.
I haven't seen anything like that ever in the hobby in all the years I've been in the hobby. So that was
Yep.
an amazing find. And whoever picked it up, I'm sure is going to sit on that for quite a while.
Boy, there's a mortgage on the house. I hope they told their wife what they're doing before they brought that down. 62 tops, incredible, black bordered. I mean, incredibly rare. 196,000 for 24 packs. So just a really good deal at coming in around 8,500 a pack. And for the right for BBC to authenticate and bless it, Steve Hart, a friend of the show.
I actually thought that was going to break 200,000. I'm surprised it didn't. I'm really surprised it didn't. If the 61 went for 221.
62 tops is way more popular than 61 tops as far as collecting goes. I was expecting us to go for a lot more as well.
Exactly.
We've talked about it before, but maybe it takes two bidders. So there's always I've never seen a 61 tops unopened wax box. Maybe whoever was after, two people didn't have it. I mean, that's more of a likely scenario than, this is I've seen these before. There's not that many, but if I had to guess, 4 or 5 out there.
Right.
So if you're a diehard collector, you might have one, and then maybe you're playing a little bit of defense on your investment, running it up to a spot where you're comfortable, and then letting it go and hoping 2 other people run with it.
Exactly. Exactly. Amazing prices.
Just incredible. Next up was something near and dear to your heart, one of your favorites, 63. I've always loved this box. The 62 with Roman Gabriel on it is probably one of my faves, but look, the color in this box is cool. I beg your pardon. Did I flip the 61 up again?
I got to go back to the 61.
No, my mistake. I must have 60. Oh, I mislabeled that. I downloaded 61 both times and labeled it wrong. So I guess you'll just have to go on REA and check out that 63 tops. 64 Philly. This ended up selling for $52,890.
And I'm really surprised about that because that was the first year of Philly, and
totally.
It just led the 4-year domination of the NFL for the football set. I'm really surprised that went that low.
I would agree with you because a 64 Philly wax pack BBC graded depends on the grade, but PSA 7 or 8, which is probably what you'll find inside here, is in that 1,500 to 1,800 range.
Right.
You take, that's 36,000 if you just build it with packs.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've always said, there's a 20% premium for it being all included in one box. That's
a nice condition box too. On top.
Totally.
I'm really very, very surprised about that. No love for the 64 Philly. If there was a run 64, 65, 66, and 67 Phillies that went on the market, what would that be bid at, or would be all at $50K on each box? And I have a gut feeling there's just not the interest like tops for those years, especially if you were competing against a tall boy box.
Oh my gosh!
With
Can
the
you imagine? So I think what was it, 10, 12 years ago, Memory Lane had like a a box with 7 packs.
Yeah.
Uh, and it went for dirt cheap. I mean, I have a screenshot of that somebody shared with me, and I was like, incredible. Uh, yeah, next up, but yeah, 64 Philly, you would think it would get a little bit more love just because, I mean, it is, like you said, the first Philly box.
Yeah.
67 Philly is the most widely popular, most widely collected Philly set. So,
Right.
and then Kirk Robinson would love this. This is our 68 Topps Football first series. Came in 2 series. And this went for 31,000, which I think was the biggest shocker of how inexpensive that was. Because I mean,
Yeah.
that is what about 12, 1300, 13 to 1400 per pack.
Pack. Yeah.
And you can't pick up a 68 Topps pack. It's about 11 or 1200 bucks. So there was very little premium paid for having this in a box.
Right.
And the other sales that I tracked of 68 Topps weren't labeled first or second series. So maybe the second series is more sought after. We'd have to have
Yeah.
Kirk, our resident 68 Topps expert, back on to
Yeah.
discuss that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see.
Amazing to see, and I was kind of surprised by that. I was surprised by the 64 Philly. Real quick, shifting to the Chickles, I really wasn't surprised at how well all the Chickles did. Chickles are going through the roof.
Incredible.
They are red hot. I see right now the Mayos are red hot. I see that the Chickles are red hot. Those are 2 premium vintage sets that are really getting blown out of water right now. And sadly, what they're doing is they're really pricing the collector out of the market completely, especially with the Chickles.
Totally agree.
You know,
agree.
graded, even if it's in a 1 or a 2, is just at a premium right now. So,
And that's why in that same REA auction, they had some PSA 8s come up. I mean, and these are commons. Number 23, Beady Feathers, I mean, is a common, and this isn't even a very good looking card. And this went for a little shy of 10,000. This has been a, $800 to $1,100 card for the last decade. And this, like I said, isn't even. It's an old flip. You can see the near mint 8 is on the same line. So when PSA started going half grades, the numerical grade started going under. This is a slider 8 to me, not very good looking. 10,000, setting a record for old Beady Feathers. Next up was Ben Cicerone. Good looking card, good corners. Sold for 17,000.
yeah.
And again, this is a low number card. I've seen this PSA 8 card go for $700 or $800. And all of a sudden it's a 20 bagger on it. Somebody really felt like putting together a high-end PSA 35 chickle. But I've talked about this before, but I mean, it has always stunned me that these cards have gone for so cheap. It's nearly a 100-year-old set. And to pick up a PSA 8 for $1,000. I'm not surprised these prices are popping. I guess I was always surprised the prices were so low.
Right. I was
Yes.
too. I mean,
Yeah, here it is, $10,000 for another low number, number 13 Homer Griffin, not even in very good shape.
Where you could get a ungraded, really nice card, a nice X plus card, for $20-$30. The Ken Strong was traditionally an $80-$100 card in the.
I agree.
And I remember the first Ken Strong card I bought, which was a really nice card, very pretty card. I paid $80 for it, and I thought what was crazy. And I bought it in 1988, and I should have taken every cent I humanly had and bought every chickle I could find. And I
coulda, shoulda, woulda.
yeah, exactly.
But so I don't know. I'm surprised to see these cards going for 10,000 and the Cicerone, going for 17 Cicerone, excuse me, for 17. I think that's, a couple people, some pride getting in the way. I think these should be $5,000 to $8,000 cards all day long. So I think it's just new people entering the market. But we have the big shocker, which is this.
The Nags.
Now you're starting to see some really high-end pressure on Nags on
Yeah.
number 34. I mean, the face of the football hobby. But here is a PSA 1 with paper loss on the front. You can see by his by
Yeah.
his hand, tape residue over the top of his head and the bottom. So somebody had this taped into a book, and then I didn't screen grab it. On the back was paper loss as well.
Yep. Yep.
A not very nicely centered, has a crease on the left side by his oddly shaped crab hand.
Yep.
This yeah this one selling for $45,510. That includes the hammer, obviously. But
Unbelievable.
that
Unbelievable.
we used to say it was 1,000 a grade all the way up to about PSA 5, and then it started, saying about 2,000, 3,000 a grade. I guess that's out the window.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Well, we'll see what happens in the future, but that was a good wrap up from that auction. Truly amazing, to say the least. Our special guests are here, and I want to
Ooh.
into them at this time. They're friends of Gridiron Greats magazine. We know them well. They were on our show approximately 13 years ago. There are three gentlemen who have done an incredible job printing and keeping alive the memories of the World Football League and the United States Football League. And they are Bill Jones, Richie Franklin, and Greg Allred. And I'd like to welcome these gentlemen to our show. And guys, thanks for taking time out of your schedules and coming on tonight and talking about cards. And I want to lead off by, again, thanking you for coming on. And first question I'd like to ask you, and we've talked about this in prior shows, how did you guys get interested in these two leagues, World Football League 74 to 75 and the USFL Football League 83 to 85? And I'll hand off to you three guys, whoever wants to go first. Be my guest, and let's get going on this interesting topic for tonight's show.
All right, Bob. Well, first off, thanks for having us back. 13 years. It's so if you're good at math, that means I was on the last time I was on. I was 2. So that's, I don't know if anybody's a math expert or not. But
I was too.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, thanks for having us on. I think when the last time we talked, we had probably just started this,
Right.
and this last year we celebrated our 13th year of doing it. So yeah, thanks again for being a supporter the entire time. So for me, I kind of got involved or kind of became enthralled with the WFL when it first started back in the early 70s. I was a young boy living in Southern California near Anaheim, which is where the Southern California Sun played. And my father took me to a game. And it was a little more family friendly and affordable than going into Los Angeles to the Coliseum to see the Rams play at the time. And I just kind of fell in love with the colors and the logos and just the accessibility. It was just very different for me. So I became a fan. And then when the USFL was founded, I was a little bit older and was able to go to some Los Angeles Express games at the Coliseum, right? So, and enjoy it kind of at a different level. Just enjoyed the game and the sport so much. So that's kind of how I got involved with my fanship of both leagues.
Great. Greg, how about you?
Well, I was 12 in 1974 when the WFL kicked off, and I live about an hour north of Birmingham at the time. I still do now. My dad took my family to Birmingham versus Memphis game. That was my first professional football game ever that I'd attended. It was just a very magical type experience for me. Very fortunate to be able to attend another WFL game, the Americans versus the Florida Blazers later that year. And so in Alabama, really, college football was king back then. There were no pro teams back then. So this was a huge deal for us. And so that really solidified my love, and I use that term unabashedly, love for the WFL as a kid and as a young adult, and now I'm a little older now. The USFL came about when I was in college, and then after I graduated college, my wife and I went to multiple games. Actually, went to a lot of games compared to the WFL experience, and it was a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of good football. I think Birmingham supported the team well, and I was just a big fan of the Stallions as well. And just like when the WFL folded, when the USFL folded, it was a sad day.
Yeah, I believe it.
Greg, you barely have an accent. I would have put you as a Michigan.
I try to hide it a little bit if I can.
Mission accomplished. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Alabama. What was your first WFL game? I mean, do you guys both remember? I mean, that's kind of cool.
Birmingham versus Memphis, 58-33 Birmingham, and still have the ticket up above me here somewhere on one of my shelves. And
that's cool.
It was a great day, great night.
How about Richie?
Well, Bob, thanks for having us on. Joe, you too. For me, it was unfortunately I wasn't as lucky as Greg and Bill to actually see an actual WFL game. But in Virginia, I grew up 70 miles west of DC. So at first in '74, Washington had a team before they moved to Virginia and then Florida. So Warner Wolf always carried information about the WFL, our local newspaper, the Washington Post, Sports Illustrated, just following the league through there. And they had the college draft and they had their pro draft. The logos came out. I started writing some teams, and then players started jumping to the league. It just got exciting for me. And, Bob, other than 1972, our Packers weren't very good back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And so I was following that, just trying to get interested in another league or more football. And it just grew from there. When the players started signing, then the league was televised on TBS network. And I seen that WFL ball and like Bill said, the colors of the teams and everything. It was just all exciting. And I really just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
As far as the USFL, I was a Stars fan. And I seen them play the Stars play the Federals in '83. And then I went to Bird Stadium 3 times in '85 to see the Baltimore Stars play. So I did see some live USFL games.
Yeah. Cool. I remember the WFL listening to the radio to the Stars in New York playing out of Randall's Island. And I'm pretty sure it was on WMCA, which was like a 5,000 or 10,000 watt station at the time. And it would come in. I had to move my radio a certain way so I can make sure I could hear it type of, and then I read about it. And Sporting News was probably one of the few publications that actually had right up the bottom. So I followed WFL there. Obviously, New York didn't last too long. They moved to Charlotte, I believe, and that was it. So I had to pick up all the other news as I could through the papers. USFL was a whole different story. Followed the Generals in Jersey. Watched them every Sunday afternoon on ABC TV. Cool. It was very cool. It was nice. It was a nice summer, spring-summer league. Nice break from watching baseball, and I got my football fixed that way. And it was a wide open game, a lot of offense. It was so neat to watch. So we all have memories, that's for sure. And you guys took your memories, I think, to the limit.
Hey, let's not throw stones, though, Captain. I mean,
Wow.
For both of us, stones. That was plural. Both you and I, we've taken our hobbies to the limit. I think. I mean, I was born in 1970, so the only WFL memories I have are, from what I've learned from, gentlemen like you years ago on the show. So first of all, I just got my latest Gridiron Greats, and that your ad looks spectacular, by the way.
Thank you.
Looks awesome. Thank you. So, I mean, obviously you're passionate for both leagues, but I mean, the WFL cards, what made you decide to, start producing these and coming out with them? Were any issued standard, or is this it? Is this unique?
No, there were none issued, and Richie's got a great story about how Topps was going to issue some and ultimately did not, and that really is what got him fired up on it, I think, and kind of then got Greg and I fired up. So maybe Richie, you can kind of share that great story.
Yeah, again, in Sports Illustrated, and they mentioned in their article in July was a story about the ambassadors / Blazers, and they mentioned there that Topps was in camps doing. They were going to make WFL football cards, and they were going to camps to take photos and all. So every day when I get off school, when football cards came out, I was looking for these World Football League cards, and they just never came about. So later on, Topps Archive started selling the negatives that they took at these photo shoots from the team camps and started selling them on eBay. And I was buying them up, and another guy was buying them up, and we was sending each other copies of them. But we had a Yahoo group called the WFL Club, and Greg and Bill was a member of that. And we just got some discussion going there what it would be like to do WFL cards. And it seemed like there was a lot of interest from members in the group. So Bill and Greg and I just started talking offline and started putting this thing together. And Bill started putting together templates. He's really good at that. And he's excellent at it, actually.
Yeah.
And Greg and I was looking for the photos because Greg and I had a lot of photos, and just started sending photos, and he was putting them onto the templates, and it started growing. And we decided we're going to do this, and found a printer and just went from there.
Did you ever find out why Topps didn't? If they went to all the work of putting, sending people out to get photos, stuff like that.
No, I never did. And I actually sent an email to Topps Archives, and I was asking for some information. Maybe they had what the design looked like, the card design, and they didn't have anything that they could find. And they were actually running out of the negatives, but every once in a while they'll find some more, but it's been a long time since that's happened either. But no, nobody ever said. I remember in probably 75 out of a football magazine, I got Larry Fritch's address, and I sent him a letter because I was ordering some CFL cards. And I asked him if there was any WFL cards, and when he wrote back, he said, no, they were never produced. So that's all.
Larry would know. So poor you running into your local convenience store, every day as a kid with your quarter, and there's no wax packs.
I'm
run
sorry.
into the store to pick up a wax packs for WFL. You said Sports Illustrated said they were coming out, and you run in anticipation to plunk your quarter down, and they never had them.
Right. I was buying the regular 74 Topps football cards, but there was never no WFL cards there. So I kept looking, kept trying.
74 Topps is really ugly, so sorry about that.
It's interesting because over the years I've done some research too, and I know Richie and I talked about this a long, long time ago. And probably one of our first correspondence, you asked, did I know of any WFL cards? And I said, honestly, I have no clue. I know the USFL, had the 3 sets, but I also know some of the USFL teams actually produced some, team sets or whatever. WFL is really nothing. And, just getting a little off script, even the issuing of team photos, I would assume is very, very limited at the same time. Any actually team produced photos of the players or the teams got to be rare, beyond rare. I don't know if I'm correct on that, but it seems like there's just nothing out there. You know what I mean?
Did Topps have it lined up? Because we've mentioned like the 79 Topps, 80 Topps football sets didn't have logos on them, so because they didn't have license with the NFL.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's a licensing issue. Something that would like if Topps, because Topps had it in 75. Boy, when did
77? No, was it 77? Was the last year or 76?
I forget where it's logoless.
Some we didn't have any.
Yeah,
they didn't have.
I think 76. I'm trying to remember. Richie and Greg, you might remember better than me, but I believe 76 might have been logoless when we did our the recent expansion pack that we did.
Yeah.
And I think we sent you a sample of that to look at, or the whole set. We made those logoless to match what Topps was doing in 76. So 76, I'm pretty sure was logoless.
And I think it goes all the way back to 74. I think you're right. '74, they reused a lot of photos from before, and there's a lot of really crappy editing, of airbrushing,
Yes.
in the '74 set. That's why it's so ugly. So I would imagine Topps was out there taking photos of the WFL. I mean, and it was going to match what the NFL was logo-less. I mean, yeah. So I like that part of design. Who, again, a little off script. What was the star power in the NFL? Did the WFL, entice a few NFL players to come over and play? What was
They did.
any big names there?
They did.
Yeah.
They actually signed, a lot of NFL players who were players of note. Obviously, Larry Zonka and Jim Kick, Paul Warfield were the big three.
That's right.
But Kenny Stabler signed with Birmingham. Charlie Haraway signed with Birmingham. Now, obviously, Kenny Stabler never played with Birmingham because they didn't follow through with his futures contract and voided that. But Daryl LaMonica, Ted Qualick, Calvin Hill, Don Maynard, Richie, Bill, y'all feel free to jump in there and throw in more names too. But
John Gilliam.
Oh wow!
Think on a drawing a blank now.
So, and they had a few folks that came into the league that went on to the NFL. Pat Hayden.
Oh, Ken.
AD.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, Anthony Davis. So they had a few that came in out of college that went on to the NFL and did well. I think Alfred Jenkins, did pretty well in the NFL. So there were a few.
So Ken Stabler has a rookie card. His 73 card is the rookie card. So did he have a short-term contract and then or was contemplating bouncing in WFL? But you said he never played it down.
He signed a futures contract, and a lot of players signed futures contracts with the league. He signed the contract in '74, and he was set to join Birmingham in 1976. Obviously, the league wasn't around in '76, but as the league encountered money difficulties, they did not follow through. They defaulted on his contract, and of course, at that point in time, Stabler saw what was going on with the league, and that was his opportunity to sue to get out of the contract. And he
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. 3-year rookie contract, 72 to 75. Play with them in '76. I misunderstood what a futures contract was, so that makes sense. Thank you.
They would play where they would finish out playing with their NFL team, and then they would go to the WFL as a future signing for whatever year it was. And most of the signings were 75 and 76, and 75 they didn't last long, and that was it. So those contracts were gone. And a lot of animosity took place from, studying history of the game, so and so. And these guys know much more than me on that. Some of the guys were resented signing these big contracts, but never carrying through. They had to go back to the NFL. Some guys weren't treated well when they came back.
Yeah.
It's a classic labor situation in a way. But the guys didn't realize if there were two leagues playing, that helped everybody because everybody's salaries were going to start to go up. And back in the '70s, you didn't have what you have today where, you sneeze and you get $12 million playing one down and your agent gets $6 million of that type of situation.
Yeah.
It was a whole different.
Makes sense. So if you're a lesser player and you signed a futures contract and it didn't work out, there might be a blacklist going around where it's like this guy was getting ready to jump ship and go to a competitor. Let's blacklist him. I'm sure you guys.
And correct me if I'm wrong, guys. The CFL picked up a lot of talent beginning in '75 and '76 because the league collapsed and these guys had to play somewhere. So to me, the CFL was incredibly competitive right after the league ended, and basically in '75 through roughly '79, '80. And that's just my opinion because I followed the CFL for years. I just thought they became really competitive with a lot of the players getting absorbed in the CFL at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think there were a lot of players that came from the CFL into the WFL in '74 as well. So I think it kind of went both ways.
Yeah,
to your point. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
no, we might need another show to explain what's on your wall behind you. I don't get wallpaper envy very often. I mean, Bob obviously has amazing backdrop, but every time you speak and it focuses on you, I lean in and go, "Oh man, that's cool. That's cool." Yeah. So
Thank you. That's one of the walls. I've got a few. I got three others. So
not nice. Very nice.
Guys, okay, we covered a little of the WFL. Let's go into the USFL as far as what happened to them and cards and so on and so forth. The
the USFL actually had sets, just for sure, in '83 and '84. Did they? I don't know if they had an '85 set. I don't quite
84
remember.
and 85.
So is 84 and 85 is what they had?
83 season, and yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know they had the 2 years. And for us, we've done all 3 years. We actually have 15 sets that are USFL focused through USFLfootballcards.com. And we started doing it, I want to say, in about 2018. So about 5 years after we initially talked. And it was really based on the fact that all three of us enjoyed the league. We all had a little bit of history with it, as well as the WFL. But also we had people that were buying our WFL cards that were asking for USFL cards. So we put some sets together and tried it out. And, getting photos of USFL players, quality color photos, is much easier simply because of that 10-year difference, right? So really it's been a lot of fun doing it. And Greg's our USFL Birmingham expert. So he has a lot to do with us, picking players and understanding, which sets would be good sets to sell.
And realistically, there's a lot more memorabilia from the USFL than there is from the WFL.
Yes.
And it is still very much in demand, uniforms, paper ephemera from the league, programs, media guides, ticket stubs, pocket schedules, all the classic collectibles from a game. So USFL, there's a lot of stuff out there. WFL, I mentioned this a couple of times to collectors. There were a lot of tickets that were printed for games that never existed, which is why you would see, for example, you could go on eBay. This is quite a few years ago. You would find a slab of 30 tickets from a game and literally being given away because the game never happened, and somebody found the printer scrap of it or whatever, won it in a bankruptcy auction or whatever the case may be. So USFL had a lot more memorabilia, and I think in a way a lot of people remember it more than the WFL, and it had a, for lack of a better way of saying, a smoother history for those 3 seasons until they decided they were going to compete in the fall, which basically collapsed the league, to say the least. So
the fact that they had a national television contract was a huge benefit to the USFL, whereas the WFL did not have that.
Right. I probably saw 2 WFL games on TV that vaguely came in on our television set at where I lived in North Branford, Connecticut. USFL was beautiful. ABC ran the network for the USFL. I got to see a couple games a weekend. It was really nice. I mean, it was really well done, exciting games, so on and so forth. So there was a lot more excitement with the league than the WFL, unless you were like Greg. You actually went to the games and saw them, or Richie saw the games, and there was and you too, Bill. You actually physically saw the games. So you have that memory from them at the same time. I'm curious, and to put you guys on the spot, how many actual WFL cards and sets have you produced, and how many USFL cards and sets have you produced since 2013?
So total number of cards, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I could probably figure it out. But in terms of sets, we have 20 different WFL-based sets.
Okay.
And 15 USFL-based sets.
All right.
Most of those sets are focused on players, although we do have some sets that are focused more on teams specifically, or perhaps on game action, or like you mentioned television. So we have a set for WFL that is every game that was nationally televised on the TVS network. So
Right.
that one's more game focused than player focused, just
Right.
as an example.
Right. Now, the two latest sets that I got from you guys, those are going to be expansion WFL team sets. Is that what I gather on those?
So yes, so we actually sent you a couple of sets that aren't released to the public yet.
All right.
So
Okay.
yeah, so
I'll keep them under.
no, that's I think that's okay. As long as it's okay with Greg and Richie, I think it's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because
Payola going on. I like it, Bill.
Yeah. They'll be released by the end of the year.
Right in front of me here. So
Yes.
That's 70. Oh, wow. That looks like a good. Show those. Oh, is he allowed to, Bill?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And you saw it here first on Gridiron Greats. Captain, throw those up one more time, please. The one that was in your right hand looked really good.
yeah, they are.
Oh, wow. That looks good.
Yeah. So So that was our expansion set, which is essentially a set designed to look like the 1976 Topps set,
Gotcha.
Right.
featuring Vulcans and Grizzlies players that might have come in had they been accepted as expansion teams,
Right.
along with Seattle and Tampa. And then the other set we showed up there, Bob, is our next set to come out. And that's a set that is designed to look like the ones you would cut out from the bottom of, like, say, Hostess Twinkies box or Ho-Hos, right? So that one was a lot of fun to design and put together. It's got the little cut marks on the side, and
They're cool.
the backs look the same and as those original cards. So except for there's no grease stains.
Just incredible. Where were, like you just mentioned, an expansion team in WFL in Seattle, but the Seahawks had already been voted in and named. I mean, the Kingdom was built. They started in '76. How would that have worked? Just two teams like
yeah.
the NFL?
Yeah, what I was saying there is that we put that expansion set together as if the NFL expanded by 4 teams instead of 2. So
Oh,
you'd have Seattle and Tampa and Birmingham and Memphis.
got
So that was kind of our vision.
it.
That's the wishful thinking. Wishful thinking set.
I like that. Where did the WFL
Joe,
play? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
so Joe, Birmingham and Memphis actually did apply to the NFL for expansion.
Right.
And in December '79, it was shut down. But then they asked to take both teams asked them to take it to the NFL owners meeting in March of '76, where it was voted down 26-3. 3 teams did vote for them to accept Memphis and Birmingham. So
Interesting.
we just pretended. Cops had made a card with the Seahawks and Buccaneers logos. We just added the other 2 like they
Very
took it,
cool.
and had taken both teams. And Memphis put in a considerable amount of effort to get into the league. So I was kind of shocked that they didn't get it, but I was really rooting for them back then, because to me it was the WFL living on by going into the NFL.
Yeah. So this does sound a lot like the AFL, like the Fools Club, of just they're applying to get into the NFL, they're denied, and they just shrug their shoulders and say, to hell with it, we'll just go start our own league.
And I still don't understand for Alabama. I mean, that is a football mecca. I mean, you got Auburn, you got Alabama. You got one of the most classic football rivalries in college football. You drew a lot in the WFL, drew a lot with the USFL. I still don't understand why the NFL is so anti-Alabama in a lot of ways. Or again, seeing that the only thing I'm thinking of is it's just not big enough to support a team like that. But then I look at North Carolina here. You got the Carolina Panthers or the Charlotte Panthers, whatever you want to call them. They're not overly loved by the Carolinas. They won a few times. Big games. They seem to be in a state of flux all the time. So I find it interesting. You got a hotbed of football like Alabama, like Birmingham, and it's really been ignored for all these years.
Birmingham had actually a sort of a narrow window where they had an opportunity, and back in the '60s. And if you do a comparison, Birmingham and Atlanta, there wasn't a huge amount of difference in terms of the sizes of the city back then. Atlanta was very forward thinking, went after NFL franchises, NBA franchises, WHL, or NHL franchises, Major League franchises, of course. And for whatever reason, the leadership in Birmingham sort of held back. And there was always this sort of rumor going around that Coach Paul Bryant wouldn't give his blessing to it, which actually was not true. Coach Bryant was on record as saying, "Hey, if you want to bring an NFL team here, we're not worried. We play on Saturdays, not Sundays."
Right. Exactly.
This is probably basic, but where did the WFL teams play? Did they stagger their season like USFL did with the NFL to not compete, or?
Yeah, they started in July, and they overlapped once the NFL started their season a little bit.
Okay.
And again, more people preferred seeing a regularly played game than an exhibition game from the NFL. So there was a lot of interest in WFL and especially with the USFL, because there was definitely a spring summer league and pretty much wrapped up in the fall as NFL and college football started to get going again. Today it's a moot point because I feel the seasons overlap so badly. And with college teams now, in some cases, playing 14, 15, 16 games, which is utterly ridiculous. It's a whole different concept and view as far as, how you follow a team, so on and so forth. And I'm sure you guys agree with that as compared to the 70s where there was not a lot of, sports action. I mean, you didn't have media talking 24 hours a day, 7 days a week about the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, it wasn't produced very well.
You had one news report at night or two, 6 o'clock news, 11 o'clock news, where you got your sports information. And if you were more tuned, you would listen to your radio and pick up, a news station that had sports on the hour every hour, that type of thing.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I mean, like I said, the WFL is a little, before my time. So, I mean, I can remember the USFL. I mean, because I live in Portland. Portland Breakers were popular. Herschel Walker was big out. I mean, what did the WFL do wrong? I mean, that the AFL, 5 years before it got right. I mean, I point to Joe Namath as kind of saving, the AFL when they showed they could attract star power. Did the WFL just not have that kind of dry powder?
Well, they had a national television contract, but it was on the TVS network. So not everybody saw that, although they did get good ratings at one time. The problem was they should have started out with 8 teams, maybe played 12 to 14 games, got their foot in the door instead of coming out with a 20-game schedule. And then they were signing the players to future contracts, and they gave up all this money because they had to pay them. The deal was you pay them so much a month or until they came into the league, and that there was money they was giving away to players that weren't playing for them. So that was one of the biggest problems.
The WFL was very poorly financed in comparison with the AFL and the USFL. They had ownership that simply could not. They couldn't reconcile or couldn't tolerate the losses.
And there was a possible labor stoppage, right, that was floating around the NFL at that time. And I always felt like the WFL kind of maybe moved their timeline up a little bit to try to take advantage of that. And that didn't work out well either.
With Richie, they should have just gone to a 12-game schedule or 14-game schedule. 20 games was ridiculous. And I do agree with paying the future contracts made no sense at the time. You had to establish what you were playing, get enough people to watch the game so that you had some fans in the stadium, and keep working on the TV contracts. And that was the big advantage to the USFL. They realized that. And by getting, like with the AFL, getting that TV contract in the early 60s, that's what gave them the funding to continue to stay competitive.
There's a really cool podcast I love called The Prophet, and it's where a pair of guys just take like a 3-hour deep dive on how a business, works. And they did one on the NFL and specifically, and then spent quite a bit of time focusing on how Monday Night Football kind of saved the NFL. But Pete Rozelle and the TV deals being split in profit. I mean, and Monday Night Football being carved out. It just it was such a fascinating dive into how the NFL makes their money. So I mean, so yeah, to hear you say like TNT, you know, yeah, I mean, if you're spending money each month on something that's in the future and then you fold, good luck getting that money back. And it's just
Yeah.
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 They did not think out enough their revenue sources, and they were, again, if you're in business, and Joe, and I have to tell you this, you need sources of revenue, and they just did. The WFL did not do a good job with their sources of revenue. The USFL did a much better job, in my opinion, with their revenue, and I could guarantee if they didn't switch to a fall league, they'd probably still be playing today. A real spring league as compared to the several leagues that have come and gone since then that we've seen. Alliance of Football,
Yeah.
the new USFL, the old USFL, so on and so forth.
How was attendance at the games? Because I mean, I've heard like NBA teams speak, and again on podcast, NFL, GMs talk, and they say quite basically they make a third of their revenue from TV, TV shares. They make a third of the revenue from ticket sales, and a third from F&B and merch, food and beverage at the stadium and merch. So more butts and seats is ticket sales and F&B. So how was the WFL numbers?
And I think it was pretty market specific, right? So I think some of the markets like Birmingham and Memphis, I believe, drew very well.
Yeah.
Some of the smaller markets, maybe a little more underfunded markets, or markets that had really horrible stadiums like New York and Detroit,
Gotcha.
did not draw well.
Oh,
the
game that I attended, they had right at 61,000.
Oh wow!
A lot of it was walk up because Birmingham historically has been a strong walk up city. At least it was in the 60s and 70s and 80s. Now, obviously, as the season wore on and publicity came out about some of the money troubles and some other issues, there may have been some fan fatigue in some areas. I don't know, but I know Birmingham. It was a gradual decline, but it never was to the point where, and Richie can speak to this. One of the Philadelphia Bell games, they had, what was it, 700 fans?
750. 750.
Yeah.
Wow.
In a 90,000 seat stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. I still remember.
Everybody got front row seats.
I remember to this day trying to figure out how to get to Randall Stadium from where I lived in Connecticut. And I'm looking at the maps and I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm saying there's no possible way I can get there under like 3.5 hours. And I know my father's not going to want to, trek out type of thing. And I know I can't go. I was like 15 years old at the time. So I said, forget this. This is not going to happen. How many people actually went to Randall Stadium? Not a lot. I mean, that was the worst possible places you could play a game at. You're basically on a island with a prison. That's basically what it was. And so I don't know what was going on in the mind of the owners of the New York franchise, but that was a horrific idea to try to do something like that. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, the economy wasn't good either in 74.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good point.
You had the energy crisis at that time too, so that added more pressure to everything going on. So
very good point.
Wow.
Well, the league wanted to wait till 1975, but there was another guy trying to start a World Football League as well. So Gary Davidson tried to beat him to the punch.
Yeah.
The Russian that, along with the bad economy, just didn't help things.
Exactly. Guys, we're running close to being out of time. 2 more points. Number one, can you tell our audience where they can order your cards? And a big question, do you have any cards that you are completely sold out and can't be ordered at this time?
So I'll answer those questions in reverse, if that's okay, Bob. So we are not sold out of anything. We have plenty of sets. including our brand new sets that just came out that you have seen, and I think will be featured in a future edition of your magazine. So WFL football cards are available at www.wflfootballcards.com. USFL football cards are available at at www.usflfootballcards.com. Two sites are similar in their approach. They look a little bit different. WFL football cards looks a little older, tried to stay with the times. And if you go to those sites, you'll be able to look at samples of our cards. You can look at checklists to see who are in the sets. Find your favorite players, favorite teams, things like that. A lot of the designs, as you're aware, are kind of mimic designs of the era. We try to get 60s, 70s, 80s designs in there. The one thing that you won't find are any sets, on our websites that are in those, $200,000-$300,000 range, like you were talking about earlier with those wax packs. We don't have any of those.
Give it time. Give it time.
Yeah.
Give it time. Over time.
Those were nickel packs.
One other big question I have, because I know several collectors have asked me, you do not sell individual cards from the sets. You have to buy whatever the set is. So in other words, I want player A or B or C. No, you have to buy the set that they're in.
Typically we sell them in full sets, as you just described. I will tell you this: we have done some special orders, primarily for players, former players, or their families, if they wanted, for example, 40 or 50 cards to give out. We've done that before. We just did one for Edgar Scott, and we've done a few, and that's kind of cool. Be able to, somebody's card. Yeah, so we've been able to do that a few times.
Okay, all right. Clarify that, because over the years I've had several people ask me, do you have so-and-so from that WFL or USFL card set? I said, no, because I'm not going to break up what I have. I mean, I have a complete collection of both of your WFL and USFL sets. And, it is for a lot of individual player or college collectors, they go after the one card type of thing. So we have to clarify that so that people don't, write to you and say, enclosed is the dollar. I want card number,
Right.
2020.
I'm curious, what's your guys' favorite set? I mean, is it what's your baby? Is it the WFL, the USFL? The ones I've seen from Bob are good looking, like you said. They kind of mimic the '76.
I will tell you that for me, my favorite set to make was the TVS set, because we were looking for specific photos from very specific games, which was kind of fun, a little harder to make. But my favorite set is going to be the Hostess base set that Bob held up.
Okay.
Because there's a portion of that set that is dedicated to the Southern California Sun players, which I'm a big fan of. So that was a kind of a fun set to design.
Cool. And what great attention to detail. I love you put perfed edges on it and everything. That's just such a nice touch.
Thank you.
And real quick, I will show you guys too. I'll show on air and I'll show you guys privately. I am in the process of putting all your sets in 9-pocket pages.
Nice.
So I'm going to put that in my run collection. And you guys are right now, believe it or not, the longest continuing printing of football card sets by an independent producer in our country. So that's something to be very proud of.
Wow.
And your US sets.
That's a nice little tidbit, Captain.
I did not know that.
I did not either.
Look over your shoulder, Tops.
Top Stop and Panini has not produced an actual same series type of set because they've gone to all different types of methods and means. You guys are consistent with the USFL, consistent with the WFL. 35 sets between the two. That's pretty darn good for independent producers and 3 guys with a love of the game. I mean, that's amazing. That's really amazing to me. And you should be commended. And, I hate to say it, but, there are media publications out there, Sports Collectors Daily and Sports Collectors Digest. They should be talking you guys up a lot more. I don't know why they don't. I don't know if they're jealous or what. But You produce some incredible history of those two leagues.
Yeah.
To very much be thanked and commended for your efforts. It's really, love of the game. That's what it comes down to.
And I'll just say, Bob, because I don't think he's going to say it. We wouldn't be able to do this without Richie. I mean, he's the flame that keeps the WFL alive. I think we all know that, and he really is the engine that pushes WFL football cards and keeps us going. So we couldn't do it without him.
100% agree. 100% agree.
Appreciate that, guys. I really did. It means a lot. I wanted to make one real quick point. When we was talking about airbrushing, Topps started that in 1972 with the Pro Action cards. Remember those?
So,
That's when you started seeing the airbrushing the helmets. But
okay.
That's
So they didn't have a contract because, like, we've talked about it before, but Topps tried to nudge Bowman off in 1955 by coming out with a college set.
Yeah.
And then they had a license. I mean, it's boy, it's so weird.
Amazing. Guys, we're out of time. Richie, Greg, and Bill, thank you very much for being on. Thanks for sharing your stories on the sets. I gotta say to our listeners, if you have any interest in any of these leagues, make sure you pick up their sets. I mean, they are great sets. They're beautifully produced, beautifully printed, beautiful color. Just keeping the history of the USFL and the WFL alive. It's a thankless job also. And I'm really proud to have been associated with you guys for all these years. And hopefully I helped you a little sell a couple million cards down the road with your ads and GG there. So in any event, thanks for being on. We're out of time. We'll be back hopefully next week with another show. Until then, thanks for watching. If you're not subscribed to Gridiron Greats Magazine, what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for?
Check out our website, gridirongreatsmagazine.com. Until then, thanks for listening.
Gentlemen, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Certainly, we appreciate it.
Take care.